Hey, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop here on YouTube. Hope you're all having a great day. So today we're going to be talking about These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy. This is a retelling of the Russian folktale, The Firebird. And I have to say, thank you Inkyard Press for providing me an arc a year in advance of this spectacular novel, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did love this novel, and I thought it was very cool. First and foremost, admittedly, the beginning of the novel is a little bit of a slow start, but ultimately it is quite addictive. Sorry, let me just get my mom's shoes out of the frame. But the beginning of the novel, admittedly, it does have a little bit of a slow start. I will say that. However, that doesn't take away from the overall entrancement of the novel. And the reason being is because Overy is doing a very decent job of her world building. She gives the reader enough so that we can understand what the world in which we are in. That's basically what she's doing with this novel. She is giving us just enough information to ground us in the novel. But what she's doing even more is she's building up the folklore. She's building up the history of the land, because it all does tie to the Firebird. And Asya, she is the princess's twin sister. She has been chosen to be the next Firebird. So she's not the Firebird yet. She's in training with the current Firebird, who's like 500 years old, if memory serves me. I could look through the book. This is the book right here. By the way, this cover art is beautiful. I did share it on my blog when the cover art was first revealed. It is a little beat up because my son did snatch it from my hands quite a few times while I was trying to read it. Yay, I think I'm doing a good job as a mom. But, let's talk about this cover real quick. It does have a lot of flames right here. It's got some crows that are pretty important in the novel. They were crows, weren't they? I don't want to say they were vultures. No, they were crows. We're going to go with crows. If they look like crows, I'm going to call them crows. And you have a sword down here in the forest. You have the forest right here, and you have the castle right here. And you know what? I didn't really pay attention to these small little details beforehand, but they are symbolic of how the twin sisters were brought up, because one of them did grow up, Princess Isabetta. She grew up in the palace while her sister grew up in the woods learning to be the Firebird. And Overy does a really good job with her world building, because she does set magic up as the core, and you do get to see that a lot. I always love it when I have a book on hand. I get a lot of digital arcs, but I love it when I have physical arcs as well, because then I can show you guys the map here. The land of Torin, you have that little feather here, that means it's the Firebird land. But you have this lake here, and it's kind of like the core of their magic in this land, and it's fading. The light in this lake is fading. So there is a lot of history and intrigue in the magic of this land, and I loved it. What Overy does is, initially she gives just enough information so that you understand the world in which we are in. Man, I wish I knew sign language, because I'm one of those people who moves their hands a lot, if you haven't noticed. But anyway, she gives you just enough to submerge you and ground you in the story. Great. And then the story instantly just picks up momentum. And I always love that when the story just picks up momentum and then keeps going and going and going and growing, because it really does make the novel more addicting. It does make the novel more compelling to read, because you're just going with the momentum of the story, and it really sucks you in even more so. I'm sorry. coffee. I need my coffee. It does keep the momentum and the momentum going, and it keeps the reader interested in the story. And that's what I do like about it. You know, it keeps the reader intrigued in the story, because yes, the pacing of, I want to say, maybe a quarter of the first part, because the book is broken up into, I believe, five parts. It's like 4 or 5. It's broken up into parts. That's the important thing. Yeah, I'm looking in. And oh, here it is. 5. Ha! I was right. 5 parts. It's broken up into 5 parts, but so I'll say this: the first quarter of that first part is a little bit slow, because it is kind of building everything up. It's building up who these princesses are. It's building up their worlds and how different they are. And once that moment happens with the queen, you know, the twins' mother, I don't want to spoil it, but once the thing that happens with her happens, you know, the momentum just kind of keeps it skyrockets. And I do love that about the story. I do think it is well thought out, and I love how it pushes the princesses back together, or well, the princess and the Firebird together, because there's a lot of tension. You know, these are twin sisters, but they couldn't look more alike anymore. Anyway, they both started out as blondes, but as Asya becomes, you know, the new Firebird, her hair turns from blonde to, you know, fiery redhead now. So there is such a difference in who these girls are, because one of them is going to be the future queen and one of them is going to be the Firebird. So there is this power struggle also that has been built between the figures, the queen and the Firebird, through centuries. There is this sort of power struggle between them, but these are sisters. You know, they don't want there to be a power struggle. They want to just sort of reconnect, but, you know, being apart for so long, there is this wall between them. And given how they were brought up, the differences of how they were brought up as well create another barrier that they have to work to in order to reconnect in the way that they do. And I think it's such a great journey for the reader to see these two sisters kind of almost converge and then break apart because of all the tension in the story, and then, you know, come to terms with all the knowledge that they have learned throughout the course of this novel to be brought back together. I thought that was pretty well done. I thought it was really intriguing as far as the story goes, because it does give you something to latch onto with these two characters, you know, how different they are, and yet how they balance each other out so well. You don't want there to be a power struggle between them. You just want them to be sisters who help each other out. You know. But, you know, fate doesn't always go according to plan. And I do like how Overy expands upon this mythology of the Firebird. You know, the Firebird is a being that exists to keep the balance between magic. You know, I like how in this novel anyone can use magic. You know, you can cast a spell and you pay a price, you know, lock of hair, blood, fingernails, you know, you pay a price to use this magic. Because as my favorite Disney villain Rumpelstiltskin likes to say, magic comes with a price theory. Yeah, I love Rumple. Not gonna lie, he's great. He's a great villain. But he's right, because magic does come with a price, and the price in this novel is enacted by the Firebird, and I think that's really cool. I also think it's great because, you know, in a lot of fantasy genre, in order to use magic, you have to have a connection to magic in your blood in some fashion. I do like how this kind of steps away from that and just gives anyone the ability to use magic. I loved that, because you don't really get to see that a lot anymore in fantasy as a genre, you know. So I like that Overy did that with her storytelling. You know, anyone can use magic, but there is a price to pay no matter your station. You know, she also doesn't create this class either, this hierarchy of magic users or not. So I do like that she takes a step away from that to do something else, to do something different, and to do something that isn't normally done, or you know, I haven't read it. If you have, you know, please recommend me a book like that in the comments, because it gets a little tedious sometimes when there is this hierarchy of magic users versus non-magic users. You know what I mean? It does get a little repetitive. So I do like that Overy took a step away from that and allowed everyone to use magic. Except, you know, it comes with a price. The price is the Firebird. You get to see the evolution of the Firebird. A lot of people just think the Firebird is a monster. Like, oh, you make sure you pay that price, or else the Firebird's gonna come rip your heart out. You know, it doesn't work quite like that. Depending on the spell that you do, you know, the price is determined on that. And it also does tie into the fading of the magic of the land. You know, they are connected, they are intermingled with one another. So I do think that that's very interesting. It does give a lot of history to the story, and it does give a lot of intrigue. It creates a lot of intrigue around the Firebird and the Firebird magic. But you also get to see the evolution of the Firebird herself, you know, as Asya. Because at first she doesn't really understand, she doesn't really accept that she has to take this price from people. But once she gets to see the cost of it, you know, all the devastation that happens, you know, the fate of the fate of the money outweigh the fate of the one, basically. You know? Yeah, I'm a nerd. I like it. Wrath of Khan, in case you didn't know. But that's what I liked about it, because she gets to understand this power that she's been trained to understand, but it's not until she has it within her that she completely understands that she has to collect this price, or else devastation is going to wreak havoc. You know, and they both grow. You know, they both think of themselves, the prince, you know, Isabetta and Natia, they both think of themselves as quite weak, but they grow very strong as characters throughout the course of the novel. And I really do like their character evolution. I like the development of their dynamic, and I overall like this story. You know, so mark your calendars for April 20th, 2021. You know, definitely highly recommend this. And on another note, you don't have to be familiar with the Russian folklore, folktale, in order to appreciate this novel. I looked up the folktale when the cover was first released, and you know what? They are different in a way. So you don't even have to really look it up either. I would recommend don't until you're done reading this novel, because they are very different, and I don't really want the original to influence your enjoyment of this novel because of how different they are. So I would say read this book first, and then if you're interested in the original folktale, go ahead and look it up afterwards. But you don't have to know the folktale in order to appreciate this novel. I just think it's really well written as it is, because it's good. You know, I think Overy did an excellent job. She did an excellent job with her world building, and she did an excellent job creating history and mythology and folklore in this novel, and creating a wonderful world of magic for readers to enjoy. And you know, there really are strong characterizations. There's lots of plot twists, lots of revelations. You know, they kind of caught me off guard. So it's another thing I'll say. You know, this novel is not predictable. I didn't think it was predictable. So I appreciate a novel when it's not predictable even more so. So this was These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy, published by Inkyard Press. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5 stars. Didn't quite wow me. I really do reserve my 5 stars for books that completely blew me away. Like, oh my god, I have to read this in one setting kind of books. But it was still a really good book, and I really did love it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5 stars. There'll be a link to purchase the book in the description below. And you know what? When this book does come out, if money is still too tight for you, which, you know, I know money is going to be tight for a lot of us for quite some time after this pandemic. So I recommend, you know, checking out the book, recommending it in advance to your local library, so that way when it does come out, you are put first on the waiting list. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And on that note, you know what? Happy reading!